This series will be the moving Qigong exercises broken down, and we'll review each one of them singularly. They can be done in groups of threes, like 3, 9, 27, up to 81, and then if you're doing as much as 81, you're doing fine. You probably don't need to review these videos. However, we will be going over the breathing exercises, the moving exercises, and then the closing exercise. So Qigong primarily uses breath and posture in order to align the energy channels to some degree within the body, so that you have a clear and smooth flow of qi throughout the body. The standing exercise, or the typical relaxing posture exercise, is the shoulder width apart feet, generally parallel to each other. They don't have to be perfect. The body is relaxed. The knees are slightly bent. The back is straight without being rigid so much. The shoulders are rounded slightly, but not cocked forward or drawn back too far. They're more relaxed and somewhat in the middle. The neck is taut, but not strained, and the chin is in slightly. So a side posture view of this is like this. You can see the knees are bent, the lower back is flat, the upper back is raised up but not taut. The head is in and up, or the chin is in, the head is up. So the next step to remember is that the tip of the tongue rests on the roof of the mouth, just behind the front teeth. The mouth is closed but not clenched. You don't want to grind your teeth. You want them to just either touch or just not be touching but close, so that the mouth is closed but relaxed. The eyes can be open or closed. If the eyes are open, you get a softened gaze, so you're not staring at something specifically. You want it just to be a nice, relaxed view, as if you were at the ocean looking at the entire expanse of the ocean. There's no one thing out there like a boat to focus on. It's just this broad, open view of everything, and that's a very relaxing view. It reduces tension in the mind. It also releases the fight or flight conditions that happen when we focus on one thing too much, because we start to build up a concept in our minds that that's something we have to be weary of or leery of. We want to either run from it, or we're going to need to fight it, or we're going to need to eat it. And so having that softened gaze aids in that relaxation. I tend to close my eyes. It's more relaxing for me. But you can use the softened gaze or close the eyes. And so the first exercise is simply the standing quiet exercise. We just stand here for 3 breaths. So that's a nice simple exercise. It's very relaxing. the visual for that exercise is to inhale smooth, clear, relaxing air, and then when you exhale, you want to feel relaxing, so you can use the Chinese term song, and song is correct, relaxed, smooth. It means a variety of things depending on how it's interpreted and what other things you're relating with it. But it really does kind of give you the visualization of smooth in and then relax and exhale, or release a correct feeling, and so everything feels smooth and relaxed. Okay? So the first, the second standing exercise is commonly 3 gates. And the 3 gates revolve around the idea that we have to kind of allow the energy to circulate in and out, much like the breath is. And so what we do is we use 3 common gates: the bottom of the feet, which is Lao Gong, or Kidney 1, and Bubbling Spring. There are a couple of different names, and those simply just roll the feet out and roll the feet back without using the knees so much. You want to focus on the foot itself, so it's more the ankle and the foot that's rolling in and rolling out. So you can see that I'm doing it, and you can barely see my knees move. So I don't want to do this to make my feet go in and out. I will use my ankles, so you can see now I'm rolling in and I'm rolling out, and the knees just barely move. You can hardly see them moving. That's one of the gates. The second gate is at the Ming Men and the Dan Tian, the middle Ming Men, the middle Dan Tian, and that's performed from the flat position to an arched position, and then back to flat position. So watch again. It arches back, and then it rolls forward and under slightly. So it's kind of like doing a little crunch with the abdomen, but you don't want to tuck it all the way under. Just out, and then in. Okay? So the third is the upper Dantian, upper Ming Men, which is around the chest. It's also in the heart chakra, for those who know the chakras. And that's done by simply rolling the shoulders back and lifting the chest. And then coming forward and back to the original position. Again, from the side, it starts in the relaxed standing position. It rolls back and opens the chest and lifts slightly. That opens the lungs and allows the body to bring in more oxygen. And then exhale. Open or inhale. And then exhale and forward. You see my arms are moving, but I'm not moving it in the socket. I'm allowing the shoulder to do the work. So as my arm comes back, the shoulder is what's making it go back and forward. So you can see the chest is doing the work, the shoulder is doing the work, not the arm. I'm not moving the socket. So when we tie those together, we tend to view them very much like a wave in the ocean. The wave comes in low, so it rises up from the legs, through the waist, up to the chest, and then back out again, rolls down the body and out. And so we usually inhale, we open the feet, arch the back at the hips, and then roll the shoulders back. And then come forward as we exhale, roll the shoulders in, straighten the hips, and then roll the feet in, or the ankles. So from the side, we roll back, open, open, and then exhale. Again. So you'll notice I'm not actually rolling backward and forward. That will come in the first moving gong, which we will cover in a minute. The idea being that the body is rolling forward and backward, but I'm not really, going forward and backwards with the body. It's just more a sense of all the gates opening and closing, rolling up the body and rolling down the body, not really rolling backwards and rolling forwards until we get into the moving gong. So this is just the standing gong exercise. It's quiet standing. So 3 gates is still considered a quiet gong. Next, we will cover the first moving gong, and the first moving gong is very similar to the 3 gates gong. And so we're still moving the whole body. We're opening the lower gates, the middle gates, and the upper gates as we inhale, and then as we exhale, we're closing. We're not considered actually closing, but we'll talk about that more in lecture. Now, the difference is that I will be moving the body forward and backwards. The arms will follow, and the feet will follow. So I'm going to stand here, and as I roll back, I'm going to roll on the inside of my feet back to my heels and stick my butt out slightly so I've got this arch. And that's going to give me that opening gate. So I'm going to roll back, and at the same time I'm going to roll my arms back, following the feet. And then I open to roll to the outside of my feet, and then roll forward to the toes and bring the arms in. So from the front, as I roll back and bring my arms back, you can see my chest comes up and my shoulders pinch in the back slightly. And then I open just like I'm opening my feet. I'm rolling my feet to the outside at this point, and my arms come out slightly. But not from here, it's from the chest. I'm lifting them up. And then as I roll forward to exhale, my arms come forward and they start to close as I'm rolling my feet in. So they come together and down. And there's a slight upward and downward movement. So I'm going to roll back, inhale, I'm rising up slightly, opening, rolling forward as I start my exhale, roll the feet in with the arms and the hands, and then come back to a standing position. Again, roll back as you inhale, open the feet, the back, and the shoulders, come forward, and back down. So you can see there's a slight rise and a slight fall. I come back and rise up slightly, open, roll forward as I exhale, again, back and inhale, and forward exhale. And one more from the front, roll back. The next move we're going to work on is the second moving gong. And the second moving gong varies greatly from the first two. The kind of body movements are a little bit more dynamic. It is meant for people that have been doing the first ones pretty regularly for a little while, because it builds up your balance, it builds up your hips, it builds up your knees, it builds up your legs, your ankles. Because this one takes a little bit more energy. It can be done low and it can be done high. So we'll do the review of the high one first, and then we'll go to the lower position. So the idea with the second moving gong is more with the arms and with the idea of the energy coming up and coming out and circling back. And so it has a little bit more to do with spring and summer. but it's used all the time. It's a very good exercise. So in this one, the feet are a little bit further apart and the knees are bent further. Excuse me. So from here, I want to make little flower buds with my fingers, and I want to point them into the dantian, which is just below the belly button, 3 inches or 3 fingers. And I can come forward to start, or I can go back to start. We'll do the forward first. So I'm going to roll out to my toes and rise up and bring my hands out and arch my back like I would in the other 2 exercises. And now as I come back with my arms, I'm going to roll back to my heels and start the exhale. Again, as I roll forward, I draw out with my hands, inhale, rise up, bring the hands out and open, roll back to my heels as I bring my hands back and around, and down. One more. From the side. So that exercise is also done in reverse. And reverse is just simply I'm starting by rolling back on the heels. So my hands start in the same position, my body's in the same position. And as I inhale, I roll back and bring my hands out, around first, rise up. And then exhale as I bring my feet down or around my toes and then back down again. So we're following the same pattern. From the side. So you can see in the movements that my body is rolling forward and backwards and the feet are following, or the feet are moving from the heels to the toes or from the toes to the heels and the body is following. You want to try and remain in balance and keep the body upright. These exercises can be done in a sitting position, but that's a little more complicated for this tape, so we're going to move on to the lower position. So the same exercise that I'm doing here can be done here. So the feet will have to be a little bit wider depending on your flexibility in your hips, but it is recommended that it's a little bit wider because it fits the nice pattern of the body. So we start low, roll back, roll forward to close in this case. Or in the opposite direction, I come up and out first. and again in reverse. Okay, those are the regular moving and quiet Qigong. The advanced Qigong, or one of the follow Qigong exercises, is called belt channel Gong. And that has to do with the idea that there are channels run down the body, the main governor channels, run down the body, the torso, front to back. So it runs around the system and comes around this way, and those energy channels vibrate with energy in some context, and or that's where the energy vibrates when we feel excited or whatever. And so the belt gong is around this channel, around the belt, and it helps to keep the channels together, helps to keep them aligned and smooth. And it can be done on a regular basis. It's still a very good exercise. The difference is that you're rolling your feet from one side to the other, and your balance is shifting from side to side and not so much front to back. We are going to do front to back, and we are going to roll from toe to heel. So it's just a little bit more complicated on how this is going to get done, because I can't move my hands around my waist far enough to really make it work without binding the joints. So I'm actually going to come out when I'm going around. So I'm going to come back like I'm going backwards with my hands out, and as I come forward, I'm going to come forward to the front of my body. So I'm going around the body, and then I'm coming back to the front, and around the body, and back to the front. While I'm doing this, I'm also shifting my feet from side to side. So if I'm here, both of my feet are turned this way. I'm on this side. And as I come out, I'm going to go back to the heels and across the heels, and see I'm shifting my body weight to the other side. And now I'm on my toes, and I come across the front. And this can be done backwards or forwards, just like the three gates can be done forward and backward. So the breathing on this one is kind of starts here in the middle. So right about here is where I'm changing from inhale to exhale. So inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. So it's very much in the middle of the feet, right? So if I'm not on my toes and not on my heels, that's where my shift from inhale to exhale happens. So let's try that again from the front. Let's start on my right. Inhale. Exhale. I'm moving to my heels, and I'm shifting sides. I'm moving back to my toes. Inhale. And exhale. And then I'm going to shift directions. I'm just going to stop, move to the other side, and then inhale, and exhale. Inhale, exhale. Well, another great exercise in this series is the Do Chi exercise. The Do Chi exercise kind of commonly is used for releasing energy or stimulating the smoothness of the energy by allowing us to separate and or channel the vibrating energy away from the body so it can be smoother. Also helps to relax and stimulate the body's natural energy. And it's done by bouncing the chi ball. So if you kind of bounce the body, you can kind of feel everything. If you relax and let it be rubber, you can kind of feel the energy in the body or the fluids in the body all kind of bouncing. So we want to bounce a couple of times and then pick it up. Big inhale and then exhale and kind of let everything drop. And this is done at the low dantian, the middle dantian, and then either upper or high, which is up by the Bai Hui plank. So it can be done low, medium, high down here, or it can be done low, medium, high. And that's, any of them are working really well. If they work for you, that's the one to use. And they're generally done in sets of 3. So you do low, middle, and then high. That's 3, and then you can do that 3 times, or you can just do that 1 time. So you do a low, middle, and high. And then my instructor always says, just kind of do a shiver at the end, and that helps to just release the tension off the skin. It helps to release the, we'll get back to that. Okay, so you do the exercise. So the last exercise we want to look at, or what's considered to be a closing exercise, or Guan Chi Gung, is commonly described as putting on the armor or allowing you to remember that you can open and close the chakras, or the heart, or the lungs, depending on your view. And that can be really important. In a lot of cases, when we're doing these exercises, we're opening up the channels so that we can feel the energy around us. We're making a connection with the natural energy around us. But if we're working and then we go out to a meeting and there's a lot of nattering or a lot of hard or rushing energy that's going on out there, and you're open, you can just draw that right in, and now it's defeated your purpose of exercising. Where what we want to be able to do is fluctuate the opening and closing, and remember that we've got open moments and we've got closed moments. So when people are going on about stuff, we don't want that to guide us. We want to allow ourselves to close up a little bit, still hear what's going on, paying attention, and then when things either have calmed down or they're waiting for your response, then you can open up and say, hey, I've got a better idea, or that doesn't sound very helpful or useful. things like that. And it's a long psychological discussion about meetings and about people, but the idea being that because of the variation in different people's attitudes and the strengths and weaknesses of each of us and our abilities, it's important to realize that if we just leave ourselves open, then we're open to a lot of ill as well. I mean, good things are coming in, but the bad things are coming in also. And so if we learn to fluctuate the opening and closing of the heart, the lungs, then when we do these exercises, we can be fully open. And then when we're out there interfacing with people that we either don't know or are unsure of their motives, we can kind of guard, we can close down a little bit and kind of guard how things are happening, so we're not just letting them in and then saying, oh sure, yeah, I've got a truck, I'll move you. And we don't necessarily want to do that unless we have a better understanding of what those circumstances are and what it's going to lead us to. We don't want to take a path that we don't have a good idea of where it's leading us. That can be helpful when we're clearing our mind and going out and just taking walking someplace and not worrying about where the path is leading specifically. But in our lives, when we're interacting with others, we are going down a path, and we've got to see where that's going and be comfortable with it, or we need to help adjust the path with everybody else so that we're going in the right direction and it's going to benefit everybody, or it's going to feed the energy properly. Otherwise, we might end up having to do this a lot more, which isn't a bad thing, but anyway. Okay, so it starts in the standing quiet position. I'm going to turn my palms out and inhale. I'm going to rise up and bring my arms up with it. I'm arching and opening my back, rolling my feet out. And then I'm going to reach the top. I'm going to cup my hands and draw it down as I exhale. And then if upper Dantian and Mingmen, I'm going to take a short breath. And then push down slightly to the middle Dantian and Mingmen, and then take a breath there. And guide that down to the bottoms of the feet, and take a breath there. And you can take 3 short breaths there, that's really good, and just feel the feet and the energy connecting firmly into the ground, rooting down into the ground. And then again, turn the palms out, inhale, rise up. Take a breath up the upper Dantian and Mingmen, the heart and lungs. Guide it down as you exhale. Again, take a breath at the Dantian and Mingmen, about the belly button. And guide the energy down the legs, and then out the bottom of the bubbling spring points. Take a breath there. And feel that